Hey guys, happy Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. I decided to venture out of my hotel room, go next door to a town called Jamestown, Virginia. Now, fun fact, Jamestown is the birthplace of Virginia. Did not know that. See, in the South, we Texans, we don't learn much about the North. All we learned about was the 1800s, slavery, and Robert E. Lee. We didn't learn nothing about Jamestown. Another fun fact, this is also where Pocahontas is at. There's actually a Pocahontas statue here as well. But check out this huge monument. Look at it. So this is the really extremely tall monument. The first thing I saw in the park. This is a national park. If you have a national park pass, they give you a discount if you're a military veteran. It's $15 for admission, but if you're not a veteran, I believe it's $30 regular admission. Still not bad. But check out the inscription. So at the very top, it says Jamestown, the first permanent colony of the English people, the birthplace of Virginia and United States, May 13th, 1607. And then you see this little inscription here. It says, lastly and chiefly, the way to prosper and achieve good success is to make yourselves all of one mind for the good of your country and your own, and to serve and fear God, the giver of all goodness, for every plantation which our Heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted out. And at the very bottom of that quote, it says, advice of London Council for Virginia to the colony, 1606. Very historic. And this is what the rest of the park looks like. Very, very nice park. Has a lot of monuments, a lot of history here. And now we're going to take a look at the Pocahontas statue. Okay, so before we begin to go towards Pocahontas, the statue, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what the map has of this whole entire park. So here we have several monument areas of Jamestown. We have Governor Yeardley Property, Tercentennial Monument, and Newtown Virtual Viewer, Pocahontas Statue, Memorial Church, 1607 James Fort, John Smith Statue, Dale House Cafe, State House, Arcarium Museum, Bland Warehouse, Marable House / Workshop, Merchant Row House, Jackson House, May Hartwell House, Kemp, Sherwood, and Pierce Properties, Row House, Governor Harvey Property, don't know who that is, Governor Harvey House, don't know who that is, and Colonel Swan Tavern, don't know who that is. But one thing, y'all, real quick, it's not just fancy history and fancy statues, but this is also where the original slave plantations actually originated from, was Jamestown, Virginia. Fun fact. Okay, guys, I've made it to the Pocahontas site. So right here is another inscription. It says National Historic Site, Jamestown. The part of Old Jamestown has been owned and preserved since 1893 by the Association for the Preservation of Virginia Antiquities, founded May 13, 1607. Jamestown was the first permanent English settlement in America. It saw the beginning of many of the nation's institutions, including representative government. It was the capital of Virginia until 1699. The APVA grounds, or the APVA grounds, and the Jamestown section of Colonial National Historical Park emerge all of Jamestown Island, United States Department of the Interior, National Park Service. Okay, so this is what the fancy little gate looks like. See right here? I don't know how to read that, but that looks like a Latin. Coloniarium, I don't know. But anyway, here we go. So this is another little historical settlement, and this is where the Pocahontas site is at. And here we have a little thing with a little history. Says Fort Extension Blockhouse. Says in 1608 the triangular fort was expanded toward the east. Archaeologists believe this is what John Smith referred to when he records that the fort was reduced or improved to a 5-square form, the extension enclosed garden space and domestic structures, and by 1617 the timber framed church. The corner of the expanded fort was protected by a small defensive blockhouse or flanker. The structure may have been 2 stories tall and marks the eastward growth of the fort into what would become New Town. The archaeology team excavated the cellar and well belonging to this building. Once abandoned, the cellar became a trash pit where thousands of artifacts reveal the story of life at Jamestown and the transition from James Fort to James City. Very interesting. Look at those pictures. Check it out. And then here, that very picture at the bottom is a tobacco pipe. It says, a tobacco pipe by Jamestown's pipe maker Robert Cotton was found in the layers of the cellar. Cotton produced pipes of local clay and marked them with diamond-shaped stamps. Several bore the names of influential Englishmen. This one, William Faldo, came to Jamestown to search for silver mines. See more about the Robert Cotton pipes in the Voorhees Arcarium Museum. And then here's like a little picture graph of a defensive structure with cellars at northeast corner of 1608 expanded fort. And then over here, I believe this is where the artifacts were. It says a palisade extension at the top of excavation image ends at the corner of a cellar with 2 overlapping rectangular chambers, posts at the walls, and a possible square well. And then over here, it says the fort extension projects to the east from the junction where the east fort wall meets the north bulwark. It's pretty fascinating. All right, now we're gonna get to Pocahontas. So, this is the best part. Look at all that water back there, y'all. And this is the beautiful Pocahontas, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it all started. Just like the history books, I think it's so cool. Look at that. It's a very old statue. Let's show the back of it. Look at her shoes. It's so cool. Never ever seen the statue in life. Very first time I'm looking at it. And there's a little blurb over here. I'm gonna show the statue one more time so I can get a good look at her. Isn't she pretty? Okay, so over here we have a little historical blurb right here with a little picture. I don't know who that is, but it says erected in 1922. This statue by William Ordway Partridge honors Pocahontas, the favorite daughter of Paramount Chief Wahunsenakawa, better known as Powhatan, ruler of the Powhatan Paramount Chiefdom. Pocahontas was born around 1595, probably at Werowocomoco, 15 miles from Jamestown. In 1608, she made frequent and welcome visits to Jamestown, often bringing gifts of food from her father. Captain John Smith believes she saved his life twice during the colony's first years. In April of 1613, Captain Argall kidnapped Pocahontas and brought her to Jamestown. While a hostage, she received lessons in Christianity, converted, and was baptized. Her marriage to John Rolfe in April 1614 at the Jamestown Church helped establish peaceful relations between the Powhatan and colonists. In 1616, she visited England with Rolfe and their infant son Thomas and was presented to the royal court. She died on March 21, 1617, and was buried in St. George's Church in Gravescend, England. Today, many Americans claim descent from her son and granddaughter. And then on the very bottom, it says, only 17th century depiction of Pocahontas engraved in 1616 when she was in London. Pocahontas adopted English lifestyles after she was baptized and married John Rolfe in 1614. And I believe this is the lady who actually designed the statue of Pocahontas, is from what I've read. Very fascinating. It looked like a man at first. Alright, so this is the other part of the site called Churchyard. This is what the churchyard looks like. Very historical. And it says on this one, this cemetery was in use from the ca. 1617 timber frame church through subsequent brick churches, 1639 through 1750, when the congregation moved inland, and Jamestown's deconsecrated church fell into disrepair. Between 1795 and 1802, the Ambler and Lee families recycled bricks from the church to create a wall which protected the churchyard and their family plot. Their wall cut through the foundations of the churches and enclosed the chancel of the post 1639 brick church. The church tower remained. Many of the tombstones were lost and vandalized over time as visitors to the island removed fragments as mementos. After Preservation Virginia, APVA, acquired the property in 1893, they conducted archaeological investigations in the church and yard and reconstructed the graveyard within the Ambler wall, relying on a mid-19th century transcription of the stones. Recent archaeology by Jamestown Rediscovery proved that much of the interpretation for location of the stones was inaccurate. A decision was made to record and stabilize the tombs in their present locations and to restore the faux cemetery wall. And here there are pictures of how they constructed the churchyard. This is how they built it. That's pretty much what that says right here, all the photos. Pretty neat. Alright, I had to take a breather just now because it is hot. My big back ass is out of breath. Forgive me, I'm taking a little casual break. But I'm just soaking in this whole entire atmosphere. It's very pretty out here. A lot of water, a lot of land, a lot of pine trees. One thing I really like about Virginia, they have lots and lots of water and pine trees. The only thing I don't like about Virginia, coming up to Jamestown, which is like an hour and a half from the city that I'm in, there are a lot of plantations, a lot of cotton fields. I feel like I'm in rural Louisiana right now, but it's very historical, and there are a lot of cool things that you can learn about Jamestown. I have also a pamphlet here. I'm going to show you real quick. Take off this receipt so y'all can see the little visitor's guide that they gave me. This is the visitor's guide. It's very nice. And if you open it up, it tells you all about the sites and stuff on here. I'll show you real quick. Hold on. So this is the visitor's guide that I got when I got my little admission to the park. It's basically the same thing that's outside when you come and look at the statues. It tells you where the museums and the cafes and stuff is at. It's pretty nice. And it tells you also about tours and programs. It also tells you about shopping and dining as well. They got like a little cafe on site. They got museum stores. Very nice place. And then they also have, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's the same thing. Alright, back to the tour. So now I'm at another little site. It says James Fort Site, 1607 to 1611. It says you are about to enter the site of 1607 James Fort, the heart of the first permanent English settlement in North America. The sections of log walls stand above archaeological remains of the original palisades. The walls enclose about 1 acre in a triangular-shaped fortification. Right here, on May 13, 1607, Englishmen planted the roots of what became the United States of America. Isn't that pretty cool? Look at that picture. That's pretty cool. Okay, so here we have another site called the Quarter. Very historical. It says the partial remains of a James Fort post and ground building, likely a domestic quarter, were found here, constructed parallel to the palisade wall and along the 10-foot wide Fort Street where you are now standing. This building had a 7 by 9 foot cellar with an intact occupation floor layer. The floor contained a loggerhead sea turtle shell, a sheathed dagger, a glass strayed bead, a shot bag, and a crushed Virginia Indian pot next to the charcoal remains of a cooking fire. The southern end of the building likely lies under the brick church tower and remains unexcavated. Check out the pictures. It's cold out here. Alright, so now I'm at this other little monument called the blacksmith shop or bakery. It says, here archaeologists uncovered a multi-purpose two-room cellar used during the first years of the colony. The superstructure of the building was supported by wooden posts set deep in the cellar floor. Iron objects and filings, melted lead, and metallurgy equipment, possibly dating to 1607, covered the deepest cellar floors, indicating that the structure was initially a blacksmith shop and an experimental metalworking lab. Later, the two large bread ovens were carved into the clay wall, transforming the space into a bakery. Piles of ash from the ovens were found strewn about the cellar floor. The transformation to a bakery may have taken place in 1610 or 1611. About the time records indicate that the Virginia Company intended to send two bakers to the colony. I see the little diagram of the pictures of them building the bakery. It's pretty neat. Very historical. Here's a little smaller monument about a fun fact called the North Bulwark. Jamestown's 4 palisade walls were built using materials and techniques like those used originally. The reconstruction follows a footprint of the original 1607 post holes identified during excavations without impacting the archaeological evidence still intact beneath the soil. Special thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Donald W. Bogus and contributors to the Dr. William M. and Ellen B. Kelso Fund for Archaeology. Pretty neat. And it's in front of this fence here that you can see right here. Very old school, historic, traditional stuff right here. Just one circular fence. And there's like a little brick pathway back here. I don't know where that goes, but there's more stuff. Alright. This is a diagram of the 1611 well. I just read all this and thought I recorded, but did not capture the video. But I'm not going to read all this because it's a lot about artifacts. As you can see, you can read for yourselves. But here are some diagrams of like the pictures and stuff that they found in the abandoned well. And those are researchers and archaeologists on the pictures. And here's a small quote at the top. A new will for the amending of the most unwholesome waters which the old afforded, by Thomas Dale, 1611. Here is another fun fact about the Palisades, more archaeology stuff about the fort. Very historical stuff right here. Same thing, y'all can read. I'm tired of reading, I'm getting cold. It's freezing. At the very top, there's a quote that says, "Our extreme toil in bearing and planting palisades so strained and bruised us, and our continual labor, I can't even read, an extremity of heat had so weakened us." John Smith. I believe John Smith was Pocahontas' husband, if I'm not mistaken. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the little blacksmith bakery that I showed y'all earlier. What I was reading about, but this is an up close and personal look of what it looks like inside. See, like the little old school oven. It's like from the 1700s. And there's like other stuff in here that blacksmith used to make metal and stuff back in the day. Very historic. Very, very cool. This is like the roofing inside. Look at all that old school log and stuff and roofing. Look at that. My question is, how did they have heat? Did they have firewood? Because y'all know back in the day, they didn't have central AC and heat. Because, you know, my ass, I'm from the South. I don't know no better. All I'm thinking about is firewood and campfires. That's it. But yeah, very, very nice. Very historical. Very historical building. There you go. It's a good picture of that. Give you a better, closer look of it. Very neat. Here's another historical monument, Counselor's Row. Y'all can read about it. Again, I apologize. I'm cold. I'm tired. It's freezing out here, but I'm showing y'all the diagram. Go back and rewind this video and read. There's a quote at the top that says, "The town, bath in it too fair, row of houses, all framed timber, 2 stories, and an upper garret or corn loft high," written by Ralph Hamer, 1610. Now here is something very interesting. This is a scale model of James Fort, ca. 1607 through 1611, based on archaeological remains and historical accounts. Look at this. That's all the lovely history. Read all about it. I'm gonna walk slowly so y'all can read, because I am not reading all that. That is a lot. I gave up. I'm cold now. But look at the scale model of the fort. Isn't that cool, y'all? Look at that. I think that is so cool. Very historic. Very neat. I have more information about it. I'm just gonna walk around very slowly so y'all can read about it. There's more information here. Very historical. Very neat. See? Same thing. Check out the boats on the river, y'all. Look at that. Isn't that cool? They look like little oil rigs. I don't know what kind of boats those are. I've never seen them before, but they've been going in circles. I think they're doing boat tours or something. I don't know. But it's a pretty day to be out here. The water's nice, but it's cold, freezing cold out here. It is like below 30 right now. And that's why I'm getting a little antsy and irritated. So now I'm ready to get in the car and get warm. But I'm almost done with this tour. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Captain John Smith, Governor of Virginia, 1608, aka Pocahontas' husband, I think. Or I think it's John Rolfe. I saw something about John Rolfe, and then I see a John Smith. The last time I checked, I think it was John Smith was her husband. But this is a very nice statue, very historical, as you can see. I'll go around so you can see the back of it real quick. It's got little pots in the front. That's what the side looks like of the statue. Very, very old, very historic. It says, there's an inscription on the back of the statue. That's the back of the statue. It says, erected by the Association for the Preservation of Virginia Antiquities, 1907. Very, very old. Very nice, though. There's like a little straw home over here. I don't know what that is. We're going to figure it out in a minute. Stay tuned. Real quick, just wanted to show you the little blurb they got about Captain John Smith. I'll read this real fast because it is very long. John Smith was born about 1580, the son of a yeoman farmer of modest means. As a young man, he was traveled throughout Europe and fought as a soldier in the Netherlands and in Hungary. There he was captured, taken to Turkey, and sold into slavery in Russia. What? I didn't know he was sold into slavery. That's interesting. He murdered his master, escaped, and journeyed back to Hungary to collect a promised reward of money and a coat of arms. He returned to England in time to participate in the settlement of Virginia. He was an arrogant and boastful man, often tactless and sometimes brutal. Physically strong and worldly wise, he made an excellent settler. However, his personality, his obvious qualifications, and his low social position infuriated many of the colony's leaders and settlers. Despite this, he was named to the first council in May 1607. He learned of the Indians' language and became the colony's principal Indian trader. During the summer of 1608, he led a 3,000-mile expedition in an open boat to explore and map Chesapeake Bay and its principal rivers. On September 10, 1608, the council elected him governor of Virginia for a one-year term. He was an able leader who understood both the Indians and the settlers' needs, and the colony prospered. Captain Smith returned to England in October 1609 following an accidental gunpowder burn and became Virginia's most effective propagandist and historian. His True Relation of Virginia, 1608, Map of Virginia, 1612, and General History of Virginia, 1624, presented the colony as Smith understood it. In 1614, he made a short voyage to New England where he explored and mapped the coast from Cape Cod to Maine. Smith returned to England and never visited Virginia again, never married, and never received the recognition he thought he deserved. He died June 21st, 1631, and was buried in St. Sepulchre's Church in London. I don't know how to say that word. This statue by William Cooper was erected in 1909. So Captain John Smith was not the husband of Pocahontas. I don't know who this guy is then. I know Pocahontas' husband was John something. I think it was John Rolfe. Anyway, that's very, very interesting, very historic. All right, guys, we're at the little straw house. Y'all remember the straw house I showed you guys earlier? So we're gonna walk up, see what this little monument thing says. It says it's called the barracks. The interpretation of a mud and stud structure was made possible by generous donation from the Jamestown Society. The gift was made in honor of archaeologist Dr. William M. Kelso, whose 25 years of leadership and perseverance led to the rediscovery of James Fort. Interesting. So this was donated to the society. And there's a little monument right here. Looks like there's a whole bunch of names of historic leaders. I ain't reading all the names. There's a lot of names. Y'all can read it for yourselves. I'm done. Like, when I'm done, I'm done. There's an inscription on here. I'll read real fast. Sir George Yeardley, the governor, being set down in his accustomed place, those of the council of estate sat next to him on both hands, except only the secretary, then appointed speaker, who sat right before him. And for as much as men's affairs do little prosper where God's service is neglected, all the burgesses took their places in the choir till a prayer was said by Mr. Buck, the minister, that it would please God to guide and to sanctify all our proceedings to his own glory and to the good of his plantation. Oh, Jesus, not plantation. Here we go again with the bullshit. What did I tell y'all? Twilight Zone. That's all Jamestown is history and plantations. Lord have mercy. Anyway, we're going to continue walking. It's pretty much the last of the tour. I'm pretty sure there's more sights, but my black ass is tired. I'm freezing. Here's a colorful picture of the barracks that I showed you, the little straw house. There's a picture of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II that toured the James Fort with Dr. William Kelso, who actually donated this to this site in 2007. Wow, that's really cool that the Queen of England came to actually visit this site. Very interesting. But yeah, y'all can read all about it. I'm done reading. I'm cold. But here's a better look inside the barracks. Again, this was donated by Dr. William Kelso to the James Fort. Very neat. Look at all that wood right there. Then we have an historical cannon. I'm pretty sure this thing still works too. They probably don't fire it no more. But I remember back in my military days, we used to fire the cannons in the mornings. Every morning before PT, physical fitness, they fire off the cannons when they do the salute. But isn't that cool? Look at that cannon. That's cool, ain't it? See, my country ass, I don't know no better. But yeah, it's so pretty, but too cold, too dang cold. But yeah, this cannon, oh, it's no longer used. There's a little knob in the middle. They don't shoot it no more. It's just for historical sites. Now the real cannons, they'll have the little thing on the back where you actually light it up and shoot it off like fireworks. But yeah, that one don't work no more. And then we have a little monument thing here. See what this says real quick. It says, "Save Jamestown, climate change." Oh Lord. I'll read this one excerpt and I'm done. So I gotta get out of here. I'm too cold now. The challenges at Jamestown are multifaceted. The effects of sea level rise, increasingly severe storms, and climate change are most visible on the surface. in the form of flooded landscapes and pathways. Hundreds of thousands of visitors come to Jamestown each year to explore the landscapes where Virginia Indians, European colonists, and Africans created the foundations of modern America. What? Africans? Unless you're talking about the slaves. I don't remember nothing about no Africans, but okay. The challenges posed by environmental shifts threaten not only the visitor experience, but the archaeological and built resources that reveal the unique site that is America's birthplace. Very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this lovely historical tour of Jamestown, Virginia. Again, this is the birthplace of America, United States of America. Lots and lots of history, lots of walking. And I'm about to go the hell back to my car and probably go chill in my room because it's cold. It's too cold to be outside. But you all have a good day. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. Oh, I almost forgot a monument. Damn, there's so many of them here. I ain't walking around the whole entire park. There's a lot. But this one says Newtown, James City. Basically talks about the history of the 1620s new town that they created. As Jamestown grew, the rise of tobacco grew, became known as Virginia's first cash crop. Very interesting. Wealthy tobacco planters such as William Pierce had town residences here. Never heard of him. 1619, Pierce purchased Angela, an enslaved African woman. What? The growth of race-based slavery corresponded with Jamestown's rise as a tobacco port. Wow. Now, I knew about the corn from the Indians and stuff, but I didn't know about the tobacco and the slaves. That's different. Okay. See, now that shit's starting to piss me off. Let me get up out of here. I'm done. Damn, just when I thought I was done. So before I leave, I wanted to show y'all the Jamestown Memorial Church. I'll zoom in so y'all can see that inscription there. I feel like walking, I'm tired. And here, by the church, are the tombstones. There's a little blurb. If you want to read about it, feel free to read about it. Rewind this video. I ain't reading all that. That's too much to read. But these are the tombstones right here next to the church. Now, I don't know who's all buried over there, but you're going to have to Google and research that part, homie. And also, before I go, here's a little blurb about Jamestown's churches. 1607 and 1608, they have a church in the midst of the fort. 1617, timber church was built in fort expansion. 1639, they have the brick churches. 1660s and 1680s, they have the church tower. In 1893 to 1907, they created the Memorial Church. Read all about it. Again, I'm tired of reading. I'm cold. I'm ready to go. Rewind this video if you want to read all about it and look at it, because I do not feel like reading. It's too cold out here, okay? All right, so this is the inside of the Memorial Church that I showed you on the outside. This is what the top looks like. God, that's tall. Very pretty historical church. That's the inside of the church. There's some more inscriptions here about the church. Very, very nice and old. Very historic. Let me take a little tour of the inside.
I took an ecology class, learned about the interrelationships. Cool.
Two purposes. Go ahead, say what you said again.
So because of the different locations, we know that this is the spot where Pocahontas married John Rolfe. However many years ago, it's one of the few places you can see where you actually can stand where Pocahontas stood.
Wow.
So, right here.
Wow, this is amazing. Very cool. Thank you so much for this lovely historic history lesson. Wow. And that's a wrap, guys. This is the end of the tour. Yeah, I'm like, no. All right, guys, another little quick tad bit. In case I missed it, this is where the burials are. Now, the crosses that you saw that the volunteer showed me, that's where the reverends are buried and the captains are buried. And over here, more information about the 1608 church. Lots and lots of history here. Stay tuned for more adventures. I'll come back later, probably, I don't know, in a couple of days, and show you all the rest of Williamsburg, Virginia, where the other history is at about America, and Yorktown, I believe, is another historical site too as well. But yeah, very cool. If you want to read about it, go ahead, rewind this video. I'm not reading all this. Go ahead and read all about it. Take a good look at it. Very, very cool. Very interesting. Man, just when I thought I was done, as I'm walking, I keep discovering more monuments. So this is the cellar kitchen. Last one for real, for real. This is where excavations uncovered a cellar kitchen housing with 2 brick-faced bread ovens. Interesting. You can read all about it, rewind this video, learn some more history. All right, I'm getting the hell out of here now. I'm freezing.